Fall in Polk County, this is today's veteran. Hello and welcome, and on behalf of everyone at the Polk County Office of Veteran Services, thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Kate West, and on this installment of Today's Veteran, we'll visit with Kathleen Roehm, coordinator for RSVP Polk, to discuss how veterans can serve the local community through a variety of volunteer opportunities. Later during our War Story segment, we will hear from Leon Kohler, Post Adjutant of American Legion Post 4 in Lakeland. But first, stand by for your sit rep, Polk County, and prepare to copy. Thanks to a $1.5 million grant provided through the Veterans Transportation and Community Living Initiative, one phone number will now connect all Polk County Transit riders to dispatchers to book a ride anywhere in the county. The ribbon was cut in June on a newly renovated call center in Bartow. Money from the grant funded the remodel and the purchase of computers and related hardware and software to consolidate records. The Communications Center now combines operations of the Lakeland, Winter Haven, and Polk County transit systems. The Polk County chapter of the Military Order of the Purple Heart was awarded the Chapter of the Year Award by the Florida Department Commander, Richard Hunt, at its annual convention in Jacksonville. Our own Mike Mason is the commander for the local chapter. Good Shepherd Hospice is recruiting military veterans to serve as volunteers. The We Honor Veterans program matches volunteers who are veterans with hospice patients who are also veterans. Give Good Shepherd Hospice a call to sign up or to get more information. The City of Lake Alfred dedicated a veteran memorial on 22 June in the new Gardner Park off of US 27. The memorial honors all 5 branches of the U.S. military, but what makes this site unique is the Iwo Jima Monument. County Commissioner Ed Smith spoke at the ceremony. The 4th annual Warrior Walk will take place on 27 July at Lake Hollingsworth in Lakeland. This memorial event is organized by the Iraq and Afghanistan veterans of Polk County and is aimed at recognizing veterans, fallen service members, and their families, and the often unique challenges that these groups face. Go online to warriorwalklakeland.com for information about the event and how you can make a donation. Wednesday, 7 August is Purple Heart Day in Polk County. Mark your calendar and make plans to join state and local officials, as well as fellow veterans, that evening to help dedicate the Polk County Purple Heart Monument. Festivities will take place at the Veterans Park in Lakeland, next to the Lakeland Center. In the continuing story of reducing the backlog of VA claims, we will update you every month on the progress. The U.S. House approved legislation in June that includes more funding to help ease the VA claims backlog. This means hiring an additional 94 claims processors and continuing a transition to file claims via the internet. Polk U.S. Congress delegation members Tom Rooney, Dennis Ross, Daniel Webster, and Alan Grayson all voted for Bill H.R. 2216, which will provide $73.6 billion for veteran projects and redirect existing money to help the regional VA centers that have the worst claims backlogs. In January, the Department of Defense announced plans to lift the ban that prevented women from serving in combat positions. Not all positions are open as of yet, but the integration has begun. Admiral William McRaven, commander of U.S. Special Operations Command at MacDill Air Force Base, submitted a 3-part proposal to determine if women can or should serve in the small elite teams like the SEALs, Rangers, and Special Forces, among others. The plan includes an analysis of gender-neutral training standards and research on the social and psychological impact of integrating women into the teams. Reports are due July 2014. And by April 2015, a list will be submitted to Congress of positions and occupational specialties open to women. Some units and specialties may still request an exemption from including women. Full service-wide implementation should occur by 1 January 2016. Today's veteran will highlight each of the military branch's implementation plans as time permits on future episodes.
In our society, we rely a lot on people who are not paid so our programs can be successful. Of course, these non-paid people are called volunteers. Today, we're fortunate to have Kathleen Roehm, who is the coordinator of Polk County RSVP program. And Kathleen, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Tim.
We'll get started by, if you would tell us a little bit about yourself, and then give us an overview of your program, and then later on we're going to talk about veterans and how they might help your program.
Oh, absolutely. I am a mother of 4, happily married to my husband Ryan, and I have been somebody affiliated with Polk County for a long time. I'm actually living in Hardy County at the present time, but my husband and I do a lot up in this area, and I graduated from Haines City High School. So
Hornet.
I can say that as somebody who has worked full-time and had 4 children, that I've always found time to volunteer. And I see that as the most democratic way to make an impact on my country. You can vote, but every time you volunteer, you really make a difference in your community, whatever it be, Habitat for Humanity, reading to a child, or even just helping by picking up trash along your own street. Some volunteer efforts are organized and others are not, but I definitely think you can step out of your own comfort zone and do something different that's going to make a difference.
Sure. Tell us what RSVP stands for and how the county gets involved in volunteer programs.
Well, I actually fall under a bigger program called Volunteer Polk. And Volunteer Polk is a program started a long time ago that allows people to volunteer in county programs. So there are diplomats of tourism and parks and recreation, and even interns working all over the county under Volunteer Polk. RSVP stands for Retired and Senior Volunteer Program. So my criteria is a lot tighter. I actually am looking for individuals who are 55 and older, and I never like to assume. I always ask before I make sure that somebody fits that. Some people are very flattered when I don't assume that they're over 55. And that's all really they have to be, is over 55. And I say 55 and over. So if they're willing to volunteer an hour a year, they can be enrolled in my program. And the Retired and Senior Volunteer Program actually stemmed out of a pilot program in New York State, where they recruited individuals to help volunteer in the schools, and the program started that way. And currently, RSVP has approximately 370,000 volunteers, but there's we fall under the umbrella called Senior Corps through an organization called the Corporation for National and Community Service. And that corporation is a federally funded corporation. It's actually a nonprofit based in Washington, D.C., and it runs quite a few volunteer programs that the federal government has put out there. So today, I think most people can relate to the fact that after the tornadoes in Oklahoma, there were a large group of the National Corporation for Community Service volunteers out there, and they're AmeriCorps volunteers. People heard of AmeriCorps volunteers, and I'm sure a lot of Senior Corps volunteers are actually out there also, because we are focused on disaster preparedness also.
Okay. And you mentioned the number of national, the numbers that are involved nationally.
Right.
What would the numbers be in Polk County for the RSVP?
Well, currently I have 128 volunteers in my program. And the corporation isn't focused on how many volunteers. They want me to have 128, but I could have 200 or 300. They are actually more concerned with my focus areas and ensuring that I have volunteers that are working in the focus areas. So part of when I recruit volunteers is that I actually try to guide them into areas that are going to have the greatest impact in the community, and one of which is disaster preparedness, and the other is education. I like to partner people up with schools to provide one-on-one tutoring with students, or there's a wonderful program that I'm recruiting for called Reading Pals, where people go in and read to 1 hour a week to 4 kindergarten students, but they actually don't read to all 4 kindergarten students at once. They read one half an hour to 2 students and the second half an hour to 2 other students.
Wow. Now, what would happen in that program during the summer? Are there summer activities for the children?
Not through the school-based programs, and so that's if a volunteer was doing that, they would actually have the summers off, just like the students do and the school staff. But there are other opportunities that we could put people into an opportunity to work if they're looking for additional volunteer opportunities. There's plenty out there. And the county-wide programs as far as 4-H and any of the other camps that the recreation department puts on, we could definitely slide a volunteer in over on that side too.
Do the volunteers have to be placed in a governmental program or a not-for-profit?
Yes. Absolutely, okay. That is definitely. So if a business were to call me and say they needed a volunteer, I'd tell them, I understood their position, and but that's not someplace that we can place a volunteer. Yes, it has. We actually have to have a memorandum of understanding with the organization, and so that's a requirement. I cannot place a volunteer into a program if they're enrolled in my program. I can't place them. And the benefits of enrolling as an RSVP volunteer are, first and foremost, if somebody's never volunteered or they're just looking for some opportunities, I'm just a clearinghouse. They're not actually volunteering for RSVP. I send them over to these organizations and I work through some of the logistics as far as explaining what's going to happen when they get there, who they're going to talk to. And for some individuals, that's easier than just walking in the front door and saying, I want to volunteer. So then beyond that, RSVP continually connects with these volunteers on behalf of these enrolled stations, is what we call them, any of the volunteer opportunities. So we will send our volunteers birthday cards, newsletters, and give them other opportunities to socialize with other volunteers based in other volunteer opportunities. So I guess I kind of think I'm running a volunteer club, and so that it makes it a unique organization in that, yes, they might be volunteering for Polk County Schools, or they might be volunteering as a disaster volunteer through CERT, but they get additional opportunities to meet with other people through RSVP.
Okay. And I know we're working with 55 years and older.
Right.
Are there opportunities that may be created if the senior citizen actually wanted a paying job? I mean, I know you haven't been doing that here that long, but I mean, for a part-time paid job, have you seen that? Yes,
and I'm so glad you brought that up. I think that one of the things that's unique about putting a volunteer into an organization is that they actually have that opportunity to create a network of individuals inside of that organization. And we have seen it numerous times throughout county government and in the organizations that we place our volunteers, where they have offered them part-time employment and full-time employment just by having them in the organization and realizing, well, we don't want to lose them, or they've actually created a need inside the organization, or even potentially provided the organization with additional funding because they've saved them from at that point some side as far as revenue.
Right.
But yes, and I think that's one of the things that some people don't actually even think about when it comes to volunteering. I've encouraged my own children to get involved in organizations because I said it really looks good on your resume. And that goes, not just for people 55 and older, but, people that are looking for ways to make their resume look better. And we don't just expect somebody to come in and answer the phone when we're asking them to do a volunteer opportunity. Sometimes they might be doing something that is very relevant to their skills. And so if like yourself, if you've been involved in helping people work through issues legally, we could find an organization that would provide you the opportunity to use your skills. There's a great organization in Lakeland and Haines City called Seniors versus Crime, and that organization works through the Attorney General's office and the local sheriff's department, and it engages seniors with taking information by people who have felt they've been handled fraudulently. Maybe a roofing contractor or a plumber came in and did some work and it was substandard, and they would like to have somebody handle that situation for them. They don't know the steps to take, so they connect with this organization called Seniors versus Crime. And that actually doesn't have to be a senior doing that just started out that way. They would accept somebody that has a knack for legal ease, that would be interested in connecting those people who have been treated fraudulently with the organizations that can help them.
Okay. Well, for a veteran, we are probably talking about maybe a Vietnam era vet who would be in that age category, over 55. Probably the WW2 people and the Korean people are kind of out of the realm. What are some of the benefits that a RSVP volunteer you would be able to offer?
Well, I think one of the biggest benefits that I personally take in volunteering, and what I hear from other volunteers, is that it gives them an opportunity to connect with individuals that they wouldn't have connected with had they just stayed home and watched TV or read the newspaper. And that engagement, I think, has such a health benefit that it potentially could, if all you're doing is going and reading to two little kids who are 5 years old, and you're reading stories to them that they're asking you questions, and you can answer those questions about, maybe how a plane works or how a tractor works, because that's what's in the book. It gives them an opportunity to, when they get with their family, to talk about, hey, I've been reading to Bobby and Susie once a week, and just overall, the health benefits in that area for individuals is huge. Mm-hmm. And I can't emphasize it enough. Myself personally, I see it that, and then for that individual, when you're able to get that connection with those kids, it's hard to let go. I've had a lot of the volunteers say, well, can I follow them into first grade? So
not only helping the young student, but the volunteer themselves in a lot of different ways.
Yes, I actually have a volunteer in my office who says, I only come here for the hugs. She's a single lady. Her husband's been passed away for many years. Her daughter lives in Connecticut, and she doesn't get to see very many people. And I happily give her more than her share of hugs while she's in our office. Yeah. So, I see that health benefit as huge. And as far as my organization and the organization that the county is funded through, the Corporation for National and Community Service, there's other programs out there that I know that we can connect veterans to, one of which is called the Senior Companion Program. They can actually volunteer as a senior companion with other veterans, or they're actually looking for veterans who would like to have a senior companion. And so if they would get in touch with me, and of course I'll give this information to you, we can make sure that individuals that are out there looking for an opportunity to volunteer, or maybe have some additional services that they need because they're aging and would like to stay at home or whatever. So we can work through those things.
Okay. I was thinking of some of the spouses of our veterans who may have passed away that are receiving a widow's pension, or the DIC program, which is also a widow's type pension program, that again don't have their veteran, their spouse, and they are by themselves. That might be a good situation for them also.
Well, and I agree, and I think one of the things that people probably don't recognize is that the basic rule in volunteering is, when you ask somebody, the national survey is, when you ask somebody why they volunteer somewhere, it was because they were asked. So I guess I personally cannot meet everybody, but I would ask that if you had considered volunteering, give me the opportunity to talk to you, because I certainly would ask you again if you would like to volunteer, or at least put you in connect you with an organization that you're interested in,
right,
so that you could volunteer.
Okay.
Because there's lots of opportunities.
And I understand you also have some appreciation events that you run for
Yes.
the volunteers?
Well, once a year, under the parent organization of Volunteer Polk and with the RSVP volunteers, we typically put on a recognition event. And last year was the first time we tried something new, and it's going to happen again this year, is that all of the volunteers will be given the opportunity to go see a play. And last year it was Hello Dolly, and this next year it'll be South Pacific. So they actually give them two opportunities, a matinee and an evening performance, and in between they have a small reception and give out awards. But the response from that event was huge. Now, I personally, through my organization, try and have a couple of other opportunities, some drop-in events, and we definitely keep in touch with our volunteers through newsletters and birthday cards, Christmas cards. And that's another thing, as somebody said, well, I do get birthday cards, and I said, can you ever get enough?
Right.
So.
Right. It means a lot.
It does.
I mean, it means a lot to somebody who's maybe alone or missing someone or something like that.
Exactly.
Well, Kathleen, is there anything else that you would like to tell us that maybe I haven't brought up yet, or and we also want to know what the procedure is, or what somebody who's interested in volunteering should follow to get into the program and find out more?
Well, if you are 55 and would like to consider being an RSVP volunteer, you can contact me at on the website, polk-county /volunteer, or you could go to Volunteer Match. We also have opportunities out there on that, or they can call my office at 863-534-5249. But if they're 55 and would like to be an RSVP volunteer, but if they're under 55 and would still like to volunteer, we definitely have opportunities through Volunteer Polk. So I don't want to discourage anybody that's considering volunteering.
Or discriminate.
Exactly.
Right. Okay, well, I'd like to thank you for being on this edition of Today's Veteran, and we hope that some of maybe our veterans or some of our widows may take this opportunity and more enrich and fulfill their lives through your program. So thank you.
I hope so too. Thanks.
Okay.
enlisted in the Air Force in 1968. I went to Texas for my tech school. From there, I got stationed to Guam for 18 months. From there to Little Rock, Arkansas. And from there, in 1971, I went to Vietnam. And I was in Vietnam in 71, 72, got out. And after that, came to Lakeland, been here ever since. I do have one story about Vietnam. I was at Da Nang Air Force Base. I was there about 2 months. And we was in two-man rooms. My friend and I, Richie was in the bottom bunk, I'm in the top bunk. About 2 o'clock in the morning, the sirens went off, letting us know there was incoming rocket attacks. So I did what you're supposed to do. I got on the floor, fell down, and rolled on the bunk. Richie, on the bottom bunk, was under and already there. 5 minutes later, all clear. We got up, went back to bed. About 2 hours later, sirens went off again. By the time Richie rolled off his bunk and was under there, I was already under. Instead of falling down, I just rolled off my second floor bunk, rolled on the floor, and rolled under there before Richie could roll off his bunk and under there. So that's, I guess I went to Vietnam a scared little kid. Nothing much scares me now. If that didn't scare me, nothing can. My story, short and sweet. But I would like to take a minute, since I've been back from the Air Force and got out. I've been a member of American Legion, Post 4 here in Lakeland. And the American Legion was started in France in 1919. There are 4 posts that were started in Florida in 1919. Post 4 is one of them. 4 posts came into being on the same day. So they had a lottery to see which post would be 1, 2, 3, and 4. Well, we're 4. And as proud as I am of my military service, of what I did for my country, I'm proud of what I do for the American Legion. I'm still helping veterans. I'm the adjutant for this post. We are one of the most active posts in the state of Florida. We've got almost 700 members, activities going on every day, and our service officers, one of whom was Service Officer of the Year last year for the whole state of Florida. I just did our year-end report. I think it was something like 380-some veterans that we helped at this post alone this year, monetarily, getting them places to stay and things like that. So I just wanted to put a plug in for my post. Thank you.
That's all we have for this edition of Today's Veteran. I leave you with a reminder of this month in history. Our Declaration of Independence was adopted by Congress on July 4th, 1776. In other words, this great country of ours is celebrating her 237th birthday this year. Remember, for help regarding claims, benefits, and services available to veterans and their families, call the Veteran Service Office or log on to the Polk County website. I'll see you next time.